Well, a very good afternoon on a Saturday. It's the 18th of February. I've been making soup, but I didn't bring you through to show you that. I started the spring cleaning. I always say to people, don't try and take on too much at once, otherwise you end up in a total muddle. But I start with this cupboard, I work round. On the work surfaces at the top there, I'm talking right up in the top, along there, I put down cellophane twice a year. I completely cover the surfaces, including the surface of the wash machine, excuse me, which is underneath the sink unit, but it's in order to when you pull it out, you just lift the cellophane and that takes all the dust that's gathered. You can't help dust in the house, it's impossible to avoid it. But and also in the tops of the units and stuff, and as I say, it saves an awful lot more wiping down. You just lift the old cling film, wipe it down and replace it. I'm pointing my camera in here. I've got my mortar and pestle here. It's a wooden one. Which these are some of my medicines. This is nettle seeds, and I think that's a secondary lot of nettle seeds, yeah, from the previous year. This is meadowsweet. This is actually 3 years old. I've got some, I use this stuff that's in here. I love this wooden box, it's beautiful. But I don't know if you can see there's some in here, which is, I think I've mentioned before, it's the same compound as aspirin. I don't take any medication whatsoever for anything. But if I do have a sore head, something that's usually caused by stress or up and down or something like that, then a little teaspoonful of I would take about quarter of a teaspoon of meadowsweet, and you can take it in a cup of tea. Well, you can make meadowsweet tea, of course, and that's the purpose of this one in the tin. That's picked in a couple of years ago, so that will last. I mean, it'll last forever almost. It's very good for you. And what else was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, so this is, it feels awkward to have a chat in my kitchen. Hold a second, please. That's the trouble, it's difficult to open. This is the ladies' bed straw. I think you might have seen me picking it last year. This is also very good for you as well. This is a dried component, and it's got a lot of uses. I'm not going through all the uses today, it makes the video too long. But one thing you'll probably notice in my cupboard, actually I was going to say that when I was in Turkey the last time, believe it or not, it's not in this cupboard of course, but it's strange these things that I do, these premonitionary things that I seem to do in life. But I bought Up and Down's mother a tea towel and a coffee cup with saucer. I've got it through another cupboard, I'm not going to get it just now, but it was quite bizarre that I would do that, and then less than 18 months later I actually meet her for the first time. It was bizarre, really bizarre. That's just the way it goes in life. You see, this is one of my probably one of the things I would make sure that I have always is honey. I have different types of honey, of course, for different uses. But this is my main honey that I use. It is expensive. It's a £1 jar, 450 grams, but it's that and my bread. This is actually a white loaf I've got. But bread and honey are the main things that I eat most of. This one at the back is malt extract with cod liver oil, and it's my source of vitamin D for my seasonal affective disorder, and it saves taking any capsules, which I don't really particularly like doing. I don't think anyone should eat plastic. But I've got quite a lot of stuff that's stored away elsewhere. Most of my other cordials, like hawthorn jelly and elderberry cordial, and in fact I'll go and get a couple. Hold on. I'll put the camera down. This is an old bush radio which my grandmother had, and I love it in the kitchen. I do. I don't play any radio station apart from Radio 4, but I will say to you that on this Radio 4 has become a bit of a, well, it's BBC bias, so I stopped listening to that as well. I don't actually listen to much radio at all now, apart from the Gaelic station. And being a Saturday afternoon, it's as I've probably mentioned many times before, it's full of sporting claptrap. But let me go and get a couple of these jars to show you what I'm talking about. And also wanted to bring something through, because mentioned that the this is made of wood, which I'm very pleased with. And I do use it. I mean, it's fantastic for the things that I need to do with my foraging and powdering up things. I've just shown you some examples. This was all powdered down, you know, from the granular down to powder, and it's much more easily digested into the bloodstream. So the first one we're looking at is, thanks for holding on for me. First one we'll look at is the rosehip syrup. It's absolutely packed with vitamin C. It's got 10 times more vitamin C contained in this than there are in orange, one single orange. And there's a lot of picking, hard picking, and a lot of processing. And to get it to this final result, it also contains sugar for preservation. And if you use white sugar, which I do use preserving sugar, you get the orange colour. And if you use demerara sugar, which you can do of course, it gives you a much darker liquid. So you may well see rosehip syrup in both colours, but that's not down to the liquid, it's down to the sugar that was used at the time. I won't open them, but this one here is this is a rowan jelly. So this is made from rowan berries. You can see that it's quite thick. To get that consistency, it just takes a bit of expertise, but I've been doing it for long enough to be able to get it at the right temperature. And again, there's a lot of work involved. Do not ever eat rowan berries raw. In fact, there's a lot of berries you can't eat raw. The rowan berries, when they're cooked off, are absolutely packed with vitamin C and other vitamins and trace elements. This has been, I mean, I use this if I'm, rather than putting like bisto or something into a stew, I just use my rowan jelly. It can be added to porridge. I can drink it just like if I want a hot drink, a pick-me-up, that into a cup, boiling water, stirred about, let it dissolve, and it's a very, very fruity, hot drink. Sometimes I add a little bit of honey, sometimes I do that. But if you want it cool, just let it settle, put it in the fridge once it's a bit chilled, put it in the fridge, and you've got a very, very pleasant ice cold drink. This one here is the hawthorn, As you can imagine, the size of hawthorn berries are very, very difficult to pick in the thorny branches. It's a really, really difficult berry to get a hold of. But this is absolutely amazing stuff. And it's very good for the heart. In fact, it's very good for the circulation and also good for the brain. Again, the process of doing that is fairly tedious, fairly difficult to do that. Where was I? So that's the rosehip, the round jelly, and the hawthorn jelly. The elderberry didn't bring through, but that is a cordial that I make. But if you ever have go and pick the elderberries, please ensure that you absolutely 100% discard any green ones, because you do get a lot of green ones even in late autumn. But these green berries contain high levels of cyanide, and if there's enough green berries, obviously there's enough there to kill you. So you have to be very careful. I've been doing all this for a long time. The fairies introduced me to this, and Mrs. Orchardson, the old lady, gave me a bit of an interest as well on plants. My granny did as well, of course, but you know, I spent a lot of time up there as a youngster and stuff, you know. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yes, I was talking about Up and Down's mother there, but this is something I got for Up and Down. I never gave it to her because she was very fraught that day when she came to visit. She was rather excitable. And it's not a peanut, it's a heart. I bought it for her. I bought a couple of gifts, but this one I saw and I thought, it's a wooden heart. It comes from Bethlehem. It's made of olive wood. It's absolutely gorgeous. It truly is beautiful. I don't know if you can see it properly in the light. Hold a second. Put it up the cup. It looks rather like a chestnut, doesn't it? But it's olive wood, and it's handmade. It's beautiful. So it's a heart, and I'm thinking the heartbroken. There's a very small split there. Can you see that? I presume that's down to central heating in the sitting room where it's kept, or perhaps it's the intensity of the light bulb. Probably that's what it is, sitting underneath. Maybe not, because at the end of the day, I sit it this way up. But yeah, I've always been fond of Up and Down, and I've always liked to buy her gifts. Can't believe I bought her mother gifts and didn't give it to her. Oh yeah, I actually bought some Turkish soap as well. Why was I thinking that way? I must have had some premonition I was going to meet Up and Down again. And this here, when I'm saying, because I was cleaning this shelf, you see, as well. As I say, I started. But this is birchwood. Simple birchwood. I've had it for years. This is the most simplest ornament you could ever get in your life. It represents a couple. The bark's off slightly on that one, but it doesn't matter. Did you see what I mean? Me and Up and Down. Well, maybe one day it would have been that way, but not currently. But I really like this. It's the simplest ornament you could ever get. Handmade. Just it's a branch of an old birch, which I was chopping up obviously for firewood. Sawing up and chopping it up, and I thought I'll take this one and bring it indoors as a sort of thank you to the birch tree for assisting me with firewood. This here is, I've just put it in water is aloe vera. It does need to be potted on, unfortunately. I might have to split these into several clumps and repot them. I might do this week. But I've put some water. You don't need to water this plant very much at all. Every 3 weeks or something it likes a drink, but nothing too exciting, not daily anyway. Doesn't like it and drowns. But this aloe vera, let me just pick this one off. You may see this coming out. Hold a second. Against this. You see the liquid? Can you see that liquid coming out? That's pure aloe vera. And if you put it on your skin, especially on any spots or anything of that nature, you take the leaf as well. I use it, I've got a very, very small mark below my right eye. I think it's, I cuddled up and down one day, and she put a spell on me, and I have this very small mark. It has receded actually, but I do use this. I also use ribwort in the summertime. I actually put ribwort onto it when it was at its most unsightly. It wasn't really unsightly, it wasn't that big. I just did something about vanity. You just sort of notice these things yourself. Nobody else did. But I felt it, and so I put this ribwort onto it, and I've actually got, hold a second. Yes, I don't have to go very far, it's in another cupboard. Excuse me. This is dried ribwort from last year. Can you see? This is lesser ribwort. There's another variety which is a bigger leaf. This is the one I was using, and basically I just put it on like a poultice. I stuck it on with a plaster and left it overnight, and believe it or not, it was sort of material had actually come out, and from that moment onward it started to heal. It was quite amazing actually. I was in contact with somebody about it, and I was telling her, and she said, it's truly amazing what you've done. And she says, it's the first person I've actually heard that's actually, you know, not something you write in a book, it's something that's actually, what do you call it? What's the word, Andrew? Well, from the horse's mouth, let's just say it that way. But so I like healing plants, and aloe vera is superb, so I recommend you get some aloe vera and keep it for those days when you've got a spot on your chin because you've been kissing somebody who's a Ming. But yeah, so that's up and downs. Well, Heart from Bethlehem. When I was over. Bethlehem, of course, is in Palestine, it's not in Israel. The dividing wall is at Bethlehem. I may tell you a story about that sometime, but obviously I won't go into too much detail about it, because if you have to return to these parts of the world, they do check on some of your commentary about what you say about them. I noticed that even about my trip to Egypt. I noticed there's a lot more people from Egypt had been looking at my stuff, and I don't think they were waiters or something from the hotel. Do you understand? But I did notice that on my YouTube channel. Well, what else are we talking about? Well, perhaps that's all I need to say just now. I've mentioned these things before, but yeah, so what I'll do is I'll put the camera off just now, because it's been quite a lengthy little chat anyway. I just thought I'd say to you that if you're coming, if you're going to start your spring clean, don't start and do the whole thing at once, or you'll send yourself into a pit of misery. Just take a small amount per day. and get round it. I have been busy today actually. I've done my hallway and bathroom, and I've vacuumed most of my, well, all of my sitting room, but I wouldn't say some of it. So I'm going to wash the kitchen floor. My soup's prepared for the evening, and I've got some dinner to make, and I'm not going out because it's not very pleasant anyway outside today for the 18th of February. But thanks for joining me for a little chat. I think I'll have myself a cup of tea. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Actually, just before I do leave you, I mentioned about the bush radio that I have here. Well, the previous one I remember using, I'm talking when I was a very young boy actually, was a little compact unit. It's probably worth a few pounds to some enthusiast nowadays. I don't know where it went, but it was like a little suitcase. So you just unclipped it, opened it up, and you lifted the receiver, and there was all these dials. And it was a time when on the radio band they gave you all the stations in Europe, all the cities in Europe. This is where I became enthusiastic about, I wonder where that is, I wonder where that is, I wonder what that place is, you know. And probably the first time I ever heard Berlin or Belgrade or something, you know. But there was a station that was very popular, which I used to listen to, even I think to about 10, 11 years old. I can't remember listening to much later than that because I think they took it off air. But it was called Radio Luxembourg. But Radio Luxembourg was a fine station for listening to the latest tunes, and they gave you a great mixture. I can always remember listening to many suave numbers at the time, like from I think Mud was always very popular, The Sweet, and ABBA of course at a later point. Yeah, so I think ABBA was Waterloo or something like that was probably the cut-off point. And I don't remember them ever playing anything like rock music or heavy metal or anything too noisy at sleep time. It was always something a bit gentle, but you know, jazzy enough to keep you awake to listen to the show, but not enough to make you switch it off because it was too noisy. But yeah, so that's the old bush radio. It's a blue and grey colour. Remember that? I was probably very young, probably about 4 or 5 years old when I first started using it, perhaps even younger.